Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about English parts of speech, specifically verbs. So verbs cover all the words that are doing words or being words. So we usually say that this is about a state of being or doing something, an action. And the first thing I want to talk about is the idea that in English and in other languages too, we have something called the infinitive form of verbs. So I've shown you some examples on the screen here because in English, what we do is we add the word to the beginning of the verb. This is the base form of the verb where we're using the verb by itself to not tell us specifically when something is done or who did it. We're just talking about the actual action or being itself. So to be, the state of being. To do, the state of doing something, or the action of doing something. To run, to speak, to think. This doesn't tell us when it was done or who did it. We just know that this is the form of the verb that's not been conjugated. And what that means, it's a verb, it's not been changed into a tense, which tells us where it's limited in time. It goes on like infinity. Infinitive comes from that same base word to go on and on. It's not placed in time. So in other languages, what they do, I know in Spanish, they add an ending to the verb, and then they take off that ending and change the end of the verb to show which tense it's in. So in English, what we do to make it infinitive is we just show the verb with the word to in front of it. Okay, let's carry on. There are three main simple tenses we're going to talk about, and in further videos, I hope to cover more complicated and specific tenses as well, but for now, and I can see I forgot to capitalize the F there in future, but never mind. Okay, so we have the past tense, something that's already happened. It's taken place in the past, in history, it's done, it's finished. We have the present, something that's going on right now. And we have the future, something that we're talking about that hasn't happened yet. That's the future tense. I have some examples here, but first, we're going to talk about the importance of the person or thing doing the action as well, which in the previous video, I talked about nouns, which you can go back and look at that one. But when you think about a noun, a person, place, or thing, and the fact that it can do something, we call this person, place, or thing the subject of a sentence, okay? The subject or agent. They are the ones that they have the ability to do something. These are the people, the person, the object that is doing the verb. And we split these into three categories. So first person, second person, or third person. Okay, so for example, first person could be singular, which means one, I ran, or I cook, or I cooked, I should say, because I'm talking in the past right there. Second person would be he, she, or it. He cooked, she cooked. It cooked. And then that was the third person. I'm getting myself mixed up here. Let's go back to that. Second person is always you. So please forgive me that I've made that mistake. Second person is always you. You cook. You cooked. Third person is he, she, it. He cooked, she cooked, it cooked. However, those are all single people or things. When we talk about first, second, and third, we can also talk about plural, which means more than one. So for first person, this would be we. So both of us, we cooked together. Second person, you cooked. Notice that hasn't changed. So you could be one person, it could be two, it could be many. We could talk to a whole classroom of people and say, you cooked your meal for the family. Okay, everyone did it together. Third person, this time will be they. They cooked. Okay, so there's a big difference between the different people doing the verbs, and that will come in to be something we need to cover later on. When we think about that subject, that person who is doing the verb, okay, who's doing the action or the agent, we need to always remember that the subject, that person, must agree with the verb. So there's something called subject-verb agreement, which I try to explain to my students and tell them over and over again, always check that your subject agrees with your verb. Sometimes when we're speaking, we speak too quickly and we realize later on that we've said something that doesn't agree. But in writing, we can try to be careful and check and edit things to make sure that our subject, our person, agrees with the verb. What that means is the person doing the action has to be using the correct verb ending. And this is especially important in the present tense verbs for the third person, especially because as you notice here, I've listed I run, she runs, he runs, they run. So I've listed some examples here. When you get to the third person singular, she runs and he runs, you notice the S that is added, and this is the case in most present tense verbs. So you need to make sure that if you're using third person singular in the present tense, you have the correct ending. And of course, if you're using first or second person singular, you use the correct ending, which is not adding anything. I run. You run, which is not on there. Now, plural would be they run. So that's third person plural, and we don't have to worry about this rule of adding an S. Let me just show you another example. Here are some further examples here. I wrote down, the United Kingdom is a beautiful country. So, when you think about the United Kingdom, you have to imagine, okay, this is a country, right? This is a place. If we could take that, the United Kingdom, and replace it with a pronoun, we would use the pronoun it. So it goes with is. So it is a beautiful country. We could simplify simplify the sentence to say that. What about if we have here an example where we're using the first person plural, we. We are. Now these are both examples here, these three examples on this page are about the to be verb, which I need to make a whole other presentation just about that one verb, so I'm not going to cover that right now. But the to be verb in the present tense looks a bit funny. In the first person, it will be am, I am. The second person is are, you are. The third person is. He is, she is, it is. Now it's different for the plurals, but let's get on to looking at that here. So the second sentence here is we are part of a big family. We are. So this is first person, we, together, you and I together become we. We're the first person, we're talking about ourselves. But we're also plural. There's more than one of us. So we use the to be verb in the form of are. We are part of a big family. But notice, I've taken the same idea. I'm going to talk more about this family. But in this case, the family becomes the agent or the subject. The family, this is talking about a single unit. Now the family is one thing. We could replace it with it. It is large. So notice the to be verb and all of the verbs will change depending on who is the subject or what is the subject or the agent doing the action. And that is so important to practice because you need to know, are you talking about a single subject or a plural subject? Is it first, second, or third person as well? So all of those things to remember and think about. Okay, that's all for now. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye.